Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WARNO League playoff stage. And some live action here, right out of Division 4. 8 players in here, quarterfinals time, best of 3 times, and live action time as well. Which means we will get you games right up on front. No more playoff casts from replays here. We just go right in there, right in when they're live. As we're gonna go into 3-6 versus big man-to-man, and that should be pretty awesome. Yeah, 3-6 versus big man-2 here on the lower half of the bracket. Best of 3 action. The picks and bans are pretty interesting as well, as the bans we got were 109. The map is Vertigo, and we got 119th, 11th E, 3rd US, and 4th Matcherino. What do you think about those bans? Florid.
Excuse me, I was just opening the game. What were the bans?
119th, 11th E, 3rd Armored, and 4th Matcherino.
I think the 119th and the 3rd Armored bans are pretty obvious. Having to play Vertigo in a long game against one of these top armored divisions is not obviously not something that anybody wants to do. So having those out as safe bans is a pretty obvious way to make sure that even your medium heaviness 8th infantry 39s, that even those can actually survive to the late game or even to the mid game if you're dealing with M1A1s. And the 4th Moto ban, I think, respects the fact that 4th Moto can both take early positions really well, but they also have enough artillery and AA capacity to fight the kind of later, more complicated battles against air and fortified divisions, fortified positions.
Yeah, and we have big man-to-man and 3-6 here, coming in with 7th Panzer and Berliner Gruppierung out of all divisions, and that is a hot pick. One that I would not have expected to see this league, but one that with a lot of infantry and a lot of rocket artillery and a lot of pressure against 7th Panzer that is a bit slower can work if you get your aircraft on the right spot. So what is your thought on the Berliner Gruppierung pick? Have you played it lately? And if so, do you think it has any chance here?
First of all, I have not, but looking at, I have played against it, and when it comes to the urban maps, the urban frontlines map, I think it's competitive there, especially if you don't know what you're doing, because the division will compensate for your lack of knowing what to do with your units, giving you a large amount of good, efficient units on close range. But Vertigo, of course, is not a close range map, so to speak. And all of these man-to-man units moving to Delta kind of speaks of the red player wanting to take over the northern positions of the map. But we all know, being savvy WARNO League consumers, that the meta of this map is to concentrate on the lower part, on the southern part of the map. And 3-6 playing the cheap and efficient armored division is opening up with 5 tanks, 2 Conquerors ATG and vehicles, and 2 recently buffed Shilka AA guns to basically kind of just pull through and push to Bravo. And so the way that this map works is that if you on the southern side manage to get into your opponent's side, that compensates for losing the north. Does it? I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, if you push into your enemy sides, it compensates. Yeah, if you control Bravo and Alpha, it compensates for losing the north. So that is obviously a way to stale the game out and then push in later. And the enemy has to come down to the south again to change anything about it, which is not going to be easy for Berliner Gruppierung. So yeah, that is going to be the issue here. The question is, where does the Berliner Gruppierung want to go after taking the north? How far does it want to get? And here we are now into the start of the game here. So that is...
you can't really do anything after you've gotten Delta and Charlie. There's no place to push. It's a trap. It's a trap to make your units like lose all of their tempo
Yeah,
permanently.
that's currently the issue with this map. I really hope we will get eventually a version where there is some spawns in the north, though you can play around it. Like I it leaves the map lackluster in my eyes. It's still not a terrible map though. You just have to play around that and usually don't overinvest into the north. Though Big Mantu is going really heavily into that northern area. Maybe not expecting the enemy to go too hard on the south quickly, but there is just that really big sledgehammer here coming in right from the get-go. And sorry for that, guys.
I don't think the Shilkas alone will be able to prevent the MiG-21 cluster dive bombers from killing the 7th Panzer tanks. But I think with 7th does get MiG-29s, does it? Or only MiG-21s? Nevertheless, any air supremacy fighters for the blue player
MiG-23s.
will likely be enough to hold against the MiG-21s. The MiG-21s are really fast, but they don't really have defenses or anti-air weapons, so you can shoot them down pretty easily. And
Well,
they're the
they
main
have the
way.
numbers though over the MiG-23s on the other side. Like that's their big advantage. Meanwhile, yeah, the north, we see a lot of forces here of Big Mantu now, the Wachschützen and so on, taking the spot, but there is 4 tanks here, plus a leader tank coming in the south. So 3 T-72s, 2 T-55s, followed up by some BMPs, followed up by a BRM-1 for the scouting with exceptional optics, and 2 Shilkas. That is not going to be easy here to hold. MiG-23 AA flying in the north. Motschützen leader on the way to the south. We have a Felt Depot as well deployed, so I think the ARM-70 spam is the idea of pushing the south, but you have to get there, and with only a KDA Schützen and a T-55 and a really slow-firing Malyutka P here in the south, I don't know if you will get there as man-to-man.
Yeah, the man-to-man tactic here basically requires 3-6 to play passively, which is not what 7th Panzer does on this map. And the 7th Panzer is already like doing a
Ooh.
regular but slower push with the
Yeah, the
Motorschützen,
cluster bomber
and
won't hit
nothing's stopping them.
anything of value here either, as it lost line of sight, and the Shilkas are too strong. It's second one coming around, but that only hits BMP once. And it will kill that BMP1, but that is not a kill that you need here at this stage. And yeah, Militärstreifen coming around, they don't have AT. So yeah, Big Man-to-Man will get the north here. Doesn't have a CV there right now. Motschützen leader has to be brought up there. And that is a problem as well. SPWs pushing forward versus the KPV. Obviously, this is Division 4, guys. These are newer players, so they aren't fully up to the top end of the meta, but 3-6 is doing a good job here in the southern push. And the
Yeah,
T-72s are doing a really good run here into the KDA Schützen. KDA Schützen in big trouble.
yeah, 3-6 basically got a pretty standard, well executed standard like mech attack to push this side. And the way for man to prevent this would have been to have more recon and ATGM units, especially stealthy ATGM units, infantry units, to create a concave around this area in which the mech started pushing. But instead, man deployed passively, basically having only slight vision outside of their own sight to prevent the enemy tanks from long range picking their units out, but also preventing them from reacting to this at all. And the 3 units that were put out there technically could have done some damage, but they were positioned in a way too defensive of a way, which just made it clear that after the attack happened, all of the troops just started retreating for a good reason.
Yeah, L39 with cluster coming in once more here. But the Shilkas are really deadly against that. So the L39, even without the coup hitting, most likely gonna go down here as the last Hail of Fire gets the kill there. BMP1 goes down again, but that's not a good trade, and that's not the kill you need here. This second one doesn't find a target, and Shilkas are on top of it as well. So 2 L39s going down. And not really achieving much. MiG-21's trading in the sky. Bomber gets a KDA shots in as well, and this is currently not looking hot for Big Mantu, who really needs to get use of the Felt Depot in the rear to turn this around. First artillery piece coming in, but is the front line stable enough for that yet? I'm not sure. T-72's not the greatest tank on this map, as it is a pretty long-range map, and they have limited range, so the Malyutkas can actually do decently there, but their frontal armor means that they also don't take much damage if a Malyutka P hits them.
Yeah, the at this point it really is up for 3-6 man. I'm sorry, 3-6. 3-6 could just keep on pushing, and with enough control, having not lost any key units, this attack could probably push towards Papa as well. But there's really no need. This is grinding down this fight here and having Mantu Man invest their infantry-centric and lower tech division into attacking this forest and these positions. That's also a good situation for 3-6. I think it's transitioning into a slower infantry attack while building up kind of even more of the tanks and the coups behind this is probably the good idea, because anybody 3-6 has these aufklärers up north, uh, keeping in tabs on the situation. The all of the investments up north just are not on the board. They just don't do anything. They can't be moved realistically to do anything. The Felt Depot is an even bigger hit, or not even bigger, but a secondary hit towards the early opener strength. And 3-6 kind of the philosophy of having all of your points on the board, doing something, has beaten this game so far. I feel like Mantu Man can only provide lower tech tanks which can't compete with the T-72s, and infantry which can't really get fight against this tank blob.
Yeah, T-72s keep on moving, Aufklärers getting hit, and yeah, the ATGM vehicles with the Malyutka Ps are just not good enough here. If they also would be Conquerors, it would look a bit different, but the 17-pen, slow-flying, low accuracy Malyutkas are not really what you need to deal with T-72s, especially if the other side has the Conquerors variant that can hit you from a range and can kill you faster. And the enemy is not stopping enough that artillery can really play a role, and there's just so much long-range firepower in these T-72s here. You don't get fast-flying Mi-24s, you don't get fast-flying planes to strike all of this as well, with a lot of cluster or LGBs or anything like that. Like, those are the big weaknesses in setups and scenarios like this for Berliner Gruppierung. It is an infantry division first and foremost, with decent mechanized support in the form of SPWs. It has a lot of HE firepower, but its AP firepower is limited in what it can do and is mostly defensive. And if the enemy forces you into a war of movement like here, you will struggle.
Yeah, like the Mantu Man could have had half the troops go up north and still conquered it solid, like no problem. This is about trimming the fat, which is what you want to do when you're playing 1v1. You want to be as efficient as possible. You don't want to have the Felt Depot, because first of all, the Felt Depot, it's a pretty big hit against your opener, and it also kind of ties you down into investing into supply heavy units such as artillery, and it might lead you to do bad tactical decisions even when buying artillery isn't necessarily what you want to do. And on the other hand, I know it might feel like you think, well, I'm just going to send 4 infantry units and 2 Strelas up north, but what if that's just too much? Send half the infantry units. Just you have to learn to expect what your enemy does, and in this case, not recognizing the fact that 7th Panzer basically always does mech blobbing, and mech blobbing is only relevant in the southern side of the map. Not recognizing this has left Mantu Man into a permanent disadvantage.
Yeah, and Mantu now losing the only real strong T-72 killer there with a SU-22 ATGM. plane, and that is the only thing that can reliably kill these T-72s here for him. So losing that is pretty bad. Air superiority lost here as well. We saw a decent amount of kills for his MiG-23s earlier in this MiG-21s earlier in the sky, but 36 also knowing that this is the only thing that can kill him, invested decently into AA, decently into fighters, and has that covered now as well. And yet all these KDA-Schützen, all these Wachschützen just stranded in the north, none of them really capable of doing anything, and that's the big issue of infantry on a mechanized warfare battlefield. It is not quick enough to go into places, and it doesn't have the long range to threaten enemies everywhere. So yeah, the mechanized blob just runs over him here, and he can't do much about it right now. Arm 70s maybe could be doing something, but Mantu is just too focused on just trying to get this zone back, and you can't just suicide in there. The T-72s will shred you to smithereens, and the traits here already so bad that I don't think there's a way back here for Mantu.
Yeah, when you're -4, drawing down this many points a second, it's really difficult to wait for 3 minutes before your attack. So people end up sending units every minute, all of them getting taken out, of course.
Yeah, MiG-21 getting the kill there again. MiG-23s coming in here once more. 21 HEs. And yeah, there's T-55s coming in. All of them without veterancy though as well. You get a decent amount of T-55 cards, so you usually want to bring them with veterancy on that division. It's your only tank, so you might want to make it a valuable tank at least.
Yeah, people assume always that the T55 is going to. I notice myself doing this. I expect that my cheap units are going to be in a massive blob always, because that is like the way that you imagine using them. But in practice, they're gonna exchange shots. They're gonna have take cohesion damage. The enemy is gonna fire missiles at them, and those missiles are going to miss and cause them suppression. And if your units are on zero, that suppression might mean that that tank is just retreating for the next 4 minutes, and you don't really think about that stuff. And I think it's often learned via practical experience. And of course, Division 4, this is the place where we specifically want people who don't have practical experience. So, but 3.6 is basically exerting the not I wouldn't say the perfect way of dealing with this, but just solid gameplay, good choices all around, no major mistakes. Big Man to Man responded with the breakthrough by buying the L-39 Albatross cluster bombers, and I think we all saw why you shouldn't take those things. They're way too slow to attack armored formations if there's literally any anti-air, and the Shilkas had an excellent position to just beat those things down, even if they're 80 or 90 points or whatever. Just those 80 or 90 points being infantry that was defending Papa would have been a way better investment.
Yeah, Malyutka's trying to get some shots in here. But yeah, a couple of Wachschützen in the forest in the north, a couple of ATGMs more around there, some Conquerors could have been really helpful. But without Conquerors, without Rapiras also a really solid AT unit here as on the defense for Berliner Gruppierung. I think that change to them getting better at aiming again was the one thing that made Berliner somewhat viable again, though I still am not the biggest fan, especially not on Vertigo for that deck. But yeah, we really can see the weaknesses of this deck here right now. Like, the strength don't really matter. The northern points, yes, you get them, but that's not where this battle is won on this map. And the open ground, you can't push back into it. And that's the big issue. If the enemy pushes you out of position and you try to retake it, you just get shredded. And that's exactly what's happening here.
Yeah, level 1 ranked gameplay is everybody being very passive, much like they are in 10v10 and in most team games. And then level 2 ranked gameplay is doing stuff that 3.6 is doing, basically having a push, having a combination of units, and having enough map knowledge to know that you can just avoid investing into the north at all.
Yeah, we see now the M46 is still trying to do some damage here artillery-wise, but the 3-6 is not busy enough, so he can micro away the units that are under fire here constantly. Even now trying to just bomb the enemy into submission in the rear. MiG-21s and Coops getting some kills there, but the damage here is done. And yeah, Berliner Gruppierung just not really the smart pick here for this map. It's Assault Division, but you need to play it a bit more weird if you want to win with it on this map. Like, I think there is some room for it, but if you want to play this infantry playstyle, you have to push it elsewhere instead of just into the northern towns at the beginning of the map, as that is kind of what is to be expected out of the division.
Yeah, having something like mass mortars down south to smoke out Alpha in the early game, and then pushing with your very efficient and fast transported infantry to try to have an infantry attack under cover of smoke, and then securing the north or challenging the north with your only your recon units. That's something that you could do, but that's wacky. I really think that Man2Man just had a series of good games, or maybe just one good game on this map with that division, and didn't realize that their opener was just not capable of dealing with this basic armored attack. Just 3-6, just basically having every unit, most of the units on board just inside this one position, really just showing us what the ethos of mech blobbing is all about.
Yeah, Wachschützen pushing forward now towards the Mordschützen here. And trying to get for the flank. And that is all nice, but it's only 1 minute and 39 now. So, like, if Big Mantu would have realized, okay, this is going south, and would have set up infantry like this before Papa fell for this counter push, that could have worked. But obviously now it's just too late for this to work. And yeah, game number 1 here is going in the favor of 3-6. And we're gonna see what Mantu will be bringing up in game number 2. Like, I don't think we saw much of Mantu's repertoire in this game. The units.
The immortal words of Berthax in the first WARNO Super Tournament that we did when we launched was that people win and lose games in the picks and bans stages. And in this case, I think the picks and bans really just lost Mantu this. I think maybe they had a different plan or something, because this was just quite strange.
Yeah, Wachschützen coming forward, getting some kill there. KDA's trying to move in there as well, and like, I think what you can play with as Berlin Gruppierung on this map is just the expectation of you winning the north, letting the enemy give it to you for free, and then you can invest a lot into the south actually, and Mantu didn't really trust that and invested too much into the north to really secure it, but that is something you just can't afford on this map. Like, the north is always a game of chicken in this game, in this, where you try to invest as little as possible while still winning there, and this one was just way too much. And yeah, we got 3-6 here, winning in a really clean fashion in game number 1. Unfortunately, not Big Mantu's game here. I'm interested to see what we will see in game number 2, as I'm pretty sure we will get more close matchup there. But yeah, map number 1 here, going to the Big Mantu, going to 3-6, and it's a best of 3, so it's match point now for 3-6, but Big Mantu with 2 wins here in a row can absolutely turn it around as well.
I don't think there are quite that many Division 4 players that can quickly adapt into losing an opener that badly, and this really is just something about WARNO, especially WARNO 1v1, which is that unit knowledge, division knowledge, and map knowledge are essential, and the fact that even if you control your units well enough, if you just don't understand the situation on board, the game can start looking exactly like that. I think a lot of people step into the 1v1 and they lose immediately, even to players who wouldn't be necessarily like top level. Even though on 1v1 rank you can also meet a lot of those, and then they don't understand what happened, and the reason is that playing WARNO 1v1 basically requires you to have a solid body of experience all around you, uh, explaining to you about what vertigo and what deployment distances and stuff like that actually mean.
Yeah, and we have a look here, and Berliner Gruppierung. Like, this division is not great, but as you can see, it has this big amount of anti-tank guns, which it can really use defensively. So if you can get into an entrenched position, that is nice. Plus, you get 2 cards of arm 70s, so you get a nice amount of logistics behind that as well. So you can really arty spam with this division. Well, with that. And your infantry is agile and mobile and strong. So if you can set that up, that is nice. Good AA as well. Decent anti-tank air with cluster bombers and AT Su-22s. So that is what you want to set up. But if you leave the enemy the gap for the tanks to keep you constantly running, then you can't set up your 100mm anti-tank guns. You can't set up your Malyutka slow trucks and so on. And you're just going to get pushed through. So that really was the issue here for this deck. I'm pretty excited to see what we will see out of these two players in game number 2 though, as yeah, they have both increased also their skill level a lot over this season, which is nice. And that's really what I always love about Division 4, to see where people start and where people end up in, and seeing the journey of both 3-6 and Big Mantu here, and really becoming better and better players is great. Also, you said you can face off against the top level players in ranked. You don't really do that anymore now, as
Is that really so?
The matchmaker there and improved it a good bit. So your chances of meeting a top 50 player as a new player are really, really low now, as they increased the matchmaker time to by a lot of it going wide. So if you're a new player, don't fear going into ranked. You will meet other newer players nowadays. They really improved on that. Play ranked, guys. Ranked is now a really pleasant experience.
That is an so for those of you who haven't been here for like a year, as I have, that's a huge thing. The hilarious WARNO experience, the WARNO starter experience for so long has basically been that your first game ever will be against like the top 5, and that's just because the top 5 people play so much. And nowadays that the game has been released and the player base is way larger and there's an actual ranked population, they have managed to apparently create a more suitable system, and I'm very glad about that.
Yeah, they increased the time period it takes for the width to go up in which you search close to your ranked, and I'm not even sure if there might even be a limit for that now, but it's so that like you before, even if there were people searching way off your ranked, after 2 minutes you got matched with them. Now that's not the case anymore, and there is enough population that you still will find a game in at least maximum like 5-6 minutes on each time of the day, but it will be against somebody around your elo. It's still, I still get matched against people around rank 1000 if they have a rating of like 1600 or so, but it's like 200 points up and down, and that is way better and way much closer games than before, which is really nice.
I'm like rank 200, 250, and I played against a rank 4000 guy and lost. But they air rushed me. It was really bad.
Yeah. I have the lowest I had lately was 1100 or so. The highest I had was like rank 20. So that's currently the scale for me. I hadn't had anyone off the top page in a long time now, which is nice as well because I'm currently not quite that good. So yeah, ranked is feeling really nice there as well. And yeah, if you are feeling really nice right now, guys, you can.
I've got.
Help
Oh, sorry, I've got in the rank
sponsor.
6 Chinese guy.
yeah, if you want to help feeling pretty nice right now, guys, you can help out sponsoring the tournament, and you don't even have to pay anything for it. All you have to do is go to the matcherino page and click the claim code button. We still have 7 codes remaining. They add 25 cents to the prize pool, completely for free. All you have to do is click that code, claim code button, and it adds 25 cents immediately to the prize pool, like Magic here and Rebel Gizmo and Termi did earlier. We are at $300 right now. That is pretty nice. That means Division 2 will get part of the prize pool as well. If you want to help out that Division 3 gets part of the prize pool as well, help us pushing it to 400. And if you want to see me in sexy uniform, $500 is the stretch goal for that. So, yeah, let's see around there. Let's see what the match is going on. Currently, I don't think we have the next one set up yet. No. Okay.
No, we don't.
Black Forest will be the map, though. So it's going to be a quite different map setup.
All right.
Where Berliner Gruppierung, for example, could be more interesting. Though I don't think we will see that division again.
Yeah, theoretically. So for people who want to understand kind of the basics of WARNO larger strategy outside of just moving units around, if you are playing an infantry-centered deck and you're going against divisions that are less infantry-centered, armored divisions, and divisions that require a different kind of an engagement. For instance, investing a lot into air or expensive anti-air units. You really want to look at the map and think, where can I have fights that fit my division? So if the enemy is playing high tech, they have a lot of tanks, a lot of long range missiles, you obviously don't want to play the game on the part of the map which allows for long range battles. You want to try to somehow get your units into a point where they can fight face to face. And whether it be in a town, whether it be inside a tree line, that's kind of the thinking that you want to go through early on when you're deciding where you're going to spend most of your resources. And on Vertigo, the map that we just saw, there really aren't that many places for you to invest into infantry fights, because as we saw, the mechanized attack can just bypass the larger town areas up north.
Yeah. And
on Black Forest, there's the now we have the game,
yeah,
but as you will see in a moment,
we have an interesting matchup here as well. A really, really interesting matchup. We have 3-6 with 56, and we air sold versus 5th Blindé, the French Ferraris, and I think both divisions are great for the map. I think 56 is pretty annoying to play against, though, for 5E, though not as bad as others, but the long-range T62 ATGMs can be frustrating, and the BMP2s are pretty good against them as well in general. But they have good infantry clearing, 5th Blindé. They have fast tanks, they are agile here, and both sides don't have the biggest forward deployment. But they're on the wrong map.
Oh no!
I hope they realize that.
They're
I'm pretty certain.
old.
Yeah, this is the
Are we
wrong
gonna
map.
remake this?
I'm hopeful they don't start deploying on this.
Surely they know this is the old Black Forest and not the competitive
Somebody
one.
is deploying. I'm pinging them.
In general, I'd say that 56 probably, if 56 plays aggressively and manages to, not on this map, but on the competitive one, if 56 deploys aggressively and gets good positions to start spamming descending fagots and conquers, they will get a really good position. They have good enough tanks to challenge the French.
They figured it out.
And
Okay. So yeah, they're
jumping
gonna
out.
crash here in a second.
Yeah,
They were talking.
So, but if I assume they're gonna hold those divisions anyways.
Yeah.
So the French armored division has the lightest armor in the game, but these French tanks also have autocannons. This means that they can efficiently bring out these fast tanks that can just destroy fortified infantry really fast, but they're very vulnerable to ATGMs. Now the speed allows them to dodge if the player is good enough at micro, and on Division 4 we might see people lacking a bit on that department. This is a rare situation in which the T-62s of the 56 Desantniki, the Sturmo Desantniki, actually are the heaviest tanks on board, but they'll be immediately taken out by all of the French heavy ATGMs. And the T-62 is also very slow, so I doubt it can be a strong offensive advantage against the French. So I would say that as a 56 player myself, I would try to do a very early opener advantage with air and helicopters, recon units, trying to force the French player into buying a lot of infantry. And then after fighting those infantry battles and winning those infantry battles, because I have more infantry and it's better than theirs, I would then start investing into a large front of ATGMs and try to prevent the French player from ever breaking through my fortified defenses by just the sheer power of countering them. Now the French could have their very good artillery delete my infantry, but of course the 56th also has quite good artillery to counter it.
And yeah, thanks there for the Twitch Prime Quicksilver Gaming. And by the way, for everybody who doesn't know about Quicksilver Gaming and his Warno action lately, check out Quicksilver's YouTube channel, where there's a bit of Warno League cast action already going on there as well, with one of the tiebreakers of Division 4 being casted there between Wolf and Sontier. So if you're interested in that, check out Mr. Quicksilver's channels as well. And yeah, thanks there for the Twitch Prime. As we are waiting for the next game. Yeah, there we go. They figured it out. And yeah, we gonna wait a bit longer. But yeah, Black Forest, a really different map. And yeah, you can go around here on the sides with some big action as well. The French tanks also by now don't only have the off-road speed advantage, but with the latest patch, which I really like, past tanks also have a slight road speed advantage over slower tanks, which before all tanks had 79 kilometers off-road speed. Now some have 75, some have 80, and I love that.
No, that's nice. That's nice.
So yeah, Leo 2s, AMX 30s, and the Soviet T80BV IZD with the better engine of 79th, they have a slight advantage on the road speed as well, and that and these older Abrams with low armor and the old gun, the old OGM ones. So all of that is really helpful to really differentiate your units a bit more as well, and yeah, helps the German tank divisions a bit as well, and the French one.
Yeah. So on the other hand, if you're the fifth blinde player, you don't have actual forward deployment units, but you do have the commando special forces that you can deploy with the helicopter transported Pumas. These Pumas can speed match the recon infantry and even forward deployment infantry of airborne units, as long as you protect them from enemy aircraft. So technically, big man-to-man going in to an early infantry attack followed up by a supporting force of likely cheap HE-efficient tanks and 50 caliber armed transport vehicles, that's also a strong 5e tactic. The 5e has a lot of ways to do just enough damage in the opener and in the early game, not to mention the AMX-10 recon vehicles, the AMX-30B, very cheap soft attack tanks, and now the low range but still incredible power, the combat engineering vehicles that the 5th Blinde also gets. I don't know if they're worthwhile. I tried them out on ranked myself, and the low range really does keep them down a bit. But stuff like the VBL Milans and even the regular VBLs allow the French to have what is basically forward deploying mechanized forces. And the infantry heavy 56 Sturmo de Santiago might actually want to invest a lot into infantry ATGMs to prevent these recon vehicles from gaining an early advantage. But so far, we're seeing 3-6 invest into a heli drop of Pulamachiki. Hell yeah. Vet 1 heli drop infantry. This is what I'm here for, Division 4.
I'm surprised those are the small versions, though. You have the RPG-22 Dejanikis that come in 13-man squadrons that you can put into helicopters as well. These are the
You wouldn't get them
smaller...
for 90 points. Like the RPG-22, the 4-man squad, the 14-man squads, they are the standard heli drop infantry, of course, because they fit right into that niche. They're so expensive yet so powerful. But this is something I don't think I have ever seen, which is people dropping the 7-man Pulamachikis at in the opener, or with helicopters in general.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what it can achieve here. Big Mantu coming in with some Grenadier Voltigeurs, some Mistrals into Alpha. And yeah, with tanks towards Foxtrot and Echo, that's where the 5th Blinde absolutely has the advantage. For the most part, though there is one card of T-62s with gun-launched ATGMs, and those are pretty capable. The T-62, by 1989, not the most modern tank anymore, but it is a really solid design. It's never been the strongest tank, but it can deal damage, and it can take damage, and that taking damage part is what makes it nice against the French, though its rate of fire and its fire control system are an issue.
Now, what could make the French tanks combat ineffective? The French tanks only have 9 armor, but they have very good range and a decent accuracy with a standard rate of fire. And the penetration, even though it's not the best, even on max range, they can do good damage against the T-62s. Now, what if the AMX-30B2s, the standard French tanks for 135 points, what if they were taken on 0 vet? What if these units were debuffed in a way that even receiving a single enemy shot, even if the shot was a miss, would remove them like 20 to 40 points of accuracy and speed? The taking these AMX-30B2s on 0 vet speaks to me that all of the AMX-30B2s in the deck are 0 vet, which is just a huge miscalculation from Big Man2Man's side.
In general, Big Mantu's units all are without veterancy, and veterancy is something that you
No.
really should toy around with. Like, you can't vet all your units, but you should always have some units vetted, because you can't buy your whole deck in a 40-minute game anyways, usually, if you put your slots in the normal curve. So you always have room to upvet some of them, so that you can get a bit more quality and so on out of the game. Which units you upvet, that is the interesting part. That is where deck building becomes a thing in War. No, not quite as much as in Steel Division, where you have also the phase system, or Wargame Red Dragon, where you have to just slot the decks completely together out of a full nation. But within the division that you choose, the veterancy is one of the biggest parts, and not choosing any just means that your units, on average, will be less efficient than an opponent that has units with veterancy, and that is a big issue. Like, you, for example, can see a lot of one vet tier on the infantry on the side of 3-6, and that makes those just a good bit more efficient than the 0 vet infantry on Big Mantu's side here.
Yeah, there is the suppression resistance, the accuracy, the reload time, etc., etc. But in my opinion, the most important one is that a 1 vet unit has 3 times the cohesion recovery of a 0 vet unit. And so the ability to get themselves back into the fight, back under the player's control, is way, way, way smaller. A good rule of thumb for anybody who's getting into deck building is to up-vet offensive troops and not up-vet defensive troops. Because when you're attacking, you're always just going to get a couple of extra shots from the enemy before you see them. And on low cohesion, units lose the speed and accuracy and might just lose control and route anyways. And the ability to move through fire is required from offensive troops, which is why attacking with these AMX-30B2s, no matter how many you have them, those attacks are going to be just end up with French tin cans getting routed and stuck by ATGMs.
Yeah, AMX-10 HOTS coming around, more Eclairs coming in as well. Yeah, all of the units seem to be without veterancy. That gives you a bit more choice in the late game, but you have to get into that late game, and it's not really worth the trade-off. Like, there is a big trade-off between taking a lot of things on 2-vet or a lot of things on 1-vet in the how much choice you have in the late and mid game. But taking all on 0-vet is not really a gameplay style that you should go for. MiG-27 here, taking damage from the Mirage, but barely surviving. But the Mirage 3E with only 8 hit points gets 2 hits and dies. And we have an Afghansky push here, everything seemingly coming in helicopter for 3-6. They come in with Mi-8s as well, really playing that helicopter playstyle. But we see the T-62s coming in, but it's only the MD1 version. That one doesn't have the ATGM, and with its lack of a good fire control system, and only having 2,100 meter range, it has a big disadvantage over the long range, higher rate of fire AMX-30B2s. So that is not the right tank in my eyes for the northern area, but we're gonna see how they will fare here in this matchup.
Yeah, when it comes to the Desantniki Afghansky drop, I don't hate it. I don't hate using these pretty cheap 45-point helicopters in as fast deployment, as you're going to be able to sell them anyways. But what I do hate is having 2 specialized anti-infantry squads push into these positions, and because the moment they are going to meet a vehicle with more than one armor, specifically the VPL Milan, they're not going to be able to do damage. They don't have AT weapons. Having a single Pulemechiki or single regular Desantniki or whatever with the Afghansky would make this a million times more powerful. Right now, they will be destroyed by a 15-point chip box if they happen to meet one.
Maddie's here trying to hold back the AMX-30s and the AMX Sublime, getting a side shot against this AMX-30B2, forcing that one back. BMP2 helping out there as well. No CV right now in the south here in Alpha for Big Mantu, leaving a +1 for the enemy right now. The P4 is coming in for that, so it's gonna be solved in a second, but it is an issue right now. And the BMP2s with the Conqueror's ATGM are dealing scary amounts of damage to AMX-30s, so they have to take that one serious. What the French have really nicely is anti-tank weapons on their infantry with the Apilas and the LRCA. So if they can get in range of the AMX of the BMP2s or the T-62s of those, they will do good damage. But in the right infantry fire support fight and HE output, the Desantnikis here are in the advantage.
Yeah, but a masterful save of the Grenadier Voltigeur Apilas into
good idea.
To control
yeah,
truck.
Really good idea trying to pick them
but
up.
they're taken out there. That's the first time I've seen that attempt, and I really do respect it. Most players, for a good reason, have auto sell on for their transport cars and transport trucks, because having those cars get transformed into points is an essential part of keeping up a tempo in Warno. But and also with the Apilas, as we saw. But when you see the enemy units when you see any units have the bar under their name is black, that means that they are on low cohesion. That means they have, amongst other things, minus 75% accuracy. So even some of the best weapons in the game, such as the Apilas, fast firing, massive range, amazing damage, those things, even those are not value if the unit is under fire like that.
Yeah, BMP2's trying to come around. AMX-30 Prentice coming in. Commandos coming in for the north. Commandos coming in for this south as well. VBL Milan trying to push back the T-62s. And yeah, that's the issue with these T-62s. They can't defend themselves with the long-range, hard-hitting ATGMs. So they are in a bit of trouble. Jaguar HE here now coming in for the north. The Desantnik Niki Afghansi have been found, so they're gonna get bombed there. They're not really worth bombing at this point, as you pointed out. You could just hunt them down with vehicles, but obviously Big Mantu doesn't quite know that. Like, he has seen the Afghansi, but he doesn't know if there might be some Polomachikis or some other AT infantry behind it. So whilst they could just push an AMX-30 in there and kill everything, that's not what they know from their perspective. AMX-30 though, getting closer now, starting to help out as the commandos get under fire, but Conquers, ooh, that's a scary ATGM vehicle. ATGM position there, hitting the AMX-30, and AMX-30's trying to retaliate here, but they don't get the stun damage out. Another Conqueror's coming around in the south as well. So AMX-30B2 goes down one shot there. How did that happen? Oh, it tried to move to the side and got side shot
Conqueror's
there.
20-point side shot from a Conqueror's one shot kills them.
Yeah, but the way it got the side shot there is unfortunate. Meanwhile, MiG-23 overextending a bit here in the rear, gets the missile into the Mirage F1C though, and the AMX-13 on the ground, not quite getting it, but the Mirage turns around, gets the kill, gets out. So the MiG-23 at least gets killed. But Big Mantu now under pressure in the north, and they can't really put much pressure onto the southern side, so they need to hold on towards Foxtrot, and they don't really have a setup currently to do that.
Yeah, this is the position from big man to man. They have been the Descending Sturmovaya Concourse in those two buildings are an excellent example of how you can take map control with infantry units, specifically infantry weapons teams. And not having the challenge, having the T-62s be on the back line and having the Conquerors be the force that meets the enemy armor is so just a way more efficient way of dealing with them. And at this point, big man-to-man wants to have the enemy overextend. If you're put into the back foot like this, you just want to have your enemy do a mistake. You don't want to push necessarily unless you really have an opening. But try to create the best possible engagement for yourself. And 3-6 has a pretty standard and very efficient force of infantry up in the front and fire support down in the back. The BMP-2s, the BTRs, and even the anti-air guns work to fire at all of the troops that the Descending RPG-7 spot. And this is forcing all of the French infantry to run back because they obviously can't hold these engagements. This is an excellent example of 3-6 doing basic combined arms here, and big man-to-man is now all of their infantry has been pushed so low, and not to mention the fact that all of the non-special forces units are on 0 vet, so their fighting capacity is very low.
Yeah, MX-30 here gets a hit in at least. And we see the Jaguar HE, but it misses, it hits the wrong building. Recon of Big Mantu currently not in a great position here. The MX-30 trying to defend itself, gets the BMP-2 killed before it gets hit another time there with the ATGM. That would have been the death sentence of the Brennus, so important kill there for the Brennus, whilst supply trucks come around as well. The Super Pumas should be sold. That's 45 points that don't really do much. You don't use them for redeploying later on because they get killed too easily. So that's 90 points. That's an extra AMX-30 that you could have on the battlefield, or an infantry with an AMX-10. So really sell your transports that you don't need, and usually just have auto sell on and turn it off on the couple of transports that you don't want to sell that have the option to do so. As in 90% of the cases, you want to sell your transports. These Super Pumas should be refunded at this point.
Yeah, man-to-man microing their units, they smartly have the weaker ones run back and heal, meanwhile the healthier ones keep up the fight. And 3-6 not doing that, leaving their units at 1 health and 2 health, just now realizing that they need to be microed back. The town micro is not really at all complicated in this game. You just know how to, you just gotta have a little bit of game sense to recognize when you're winning and when you're losing, to when to pull back and when to push. and also just shift and right click units to go from building to building. That's really all you need to know. Most of what you need to know. But even here, 3-6 has so many vehicles behind here, and any disengagements that their infantry take inside the town can most likely be supported by vehicles on a range in which the French infantry can't fire back. The only thing preventing these vehicles from moving to the top of the town is this AMX-30B2 Brennus.
Yeah, MiG-27 getting shut down here, so Big Mantu getting some decent kills around here right now. Commandos being resupplied here is nice, and 2 commando squads on half strength should be able to deal with the non-special forces. Dejan Nikki's here with the RPG-22, as those come at low veterancy as well, so commandos can beat them, but not if they are fighting with half strength 1 versus 1, as the big squads have more firepower in that regard. So the commandos losing out there. More being brought in with Super Pumas. The Super Pumas really need to be sold by now. But in the north we have an important fight here as well. Decent position for the AMXs here to hold back the infantry. The Mi-24 gets pushed back by the AMX-30, but it will survive thanks to it not being stun locked as annoyingly and quickly anymore as on the last couple of patches since 2022, like late 2022, I think, where that stumble was introduced. The Mi-24P now can survive and gets out of there under fire, but at the same time Pulamachikis get shredded in the north by the AMX-30 and the AMX-10s. And that is a really good victory there for Big Mantu, with the potential of really getting back into the north from there.
Oh, the HE getting a nice kill in the middle of the town. So a 3-6 recognizing that the town fight here requires some efficient and affordable meat. So they're bringing out the Okrana, the 10-man security squads without AT weapons and with decent yet light infantry weapons. The Okrana are also a 0-vet unit, and they're just moving to keep up the push, to make sure that there are targets for the vehicles to keep up the fight. This is a good way to use cheap expendable units to basically have them do mine clearing, figurative mine clearing for your mechanized forces, which are actually doing the fighting. Now, with Big Mantu Man's problem of only having 0-vet units, we have seen this before on Division 4, with a player accidentally having all of their units on the lowest possible veterancy. I don't know how that possibly happens, but I don't judge. And I think this might be a case of that. Just a little bit of uncaringness, or whatever you call it in English, and suddenly you end up playing this game with units that, as you see with the AMX-10Ps, they get a single shot against an enemy Pulamachiki, and there's immediately on low cohesion. They are immediately basically immobile. They can't really shoot back. That's just a big problem when you're trying to take these engagements. 0-vet units are the best and most efficient when they are supporting the core units that are on veterancy 1 or 2, or when they are defending like side positions on their own, when they're supported by recon, and when they don't have to carry all the weight of actually winning the game.
Yeah, artillery trying to come in here for the T-62s. +4 here right now for 3-6. I still think have a decent option here for Big Mantu to push with the MX-30s into the north. The artillery is helping as well a bit in the south, but the commandos now have been pushed out, and with the Super Pumas not being sold, the money just wasn't there to get more infantry in there in time. Jaguars and Mirages are doing a decent job in the air currently, actually, but that still will need a long time to really pay off completely, and until then we will have some struggles here. And there we go, we have the surrender out of Big Mantu, and we have a 2-0 victory for 3-6.
Yeah, though, oh damn, I actually looked at the 3-6's profile. 3-6 has more than 300 ranked games like 300 of those 300 unpacked. This is
Yeah,
compared to
they
Big
played a
Mantu Man.
lot over the last couple of weeks. 3-6
Yeah, this is
really
compared
invested
to
a lot here. They weren't ranked 400. That's when the league started. Everybody was below rank 1000 in Division 4. Meanwhile, on the other side, a
Big
good
Mantu
amount.
Man
Oh, no,
has
that's
played
actually
5 games.
me. Yeah, that's for some reason me, because Big Mantu is the host. I forgot that bug exists. Yeah, I have less ranked games than that. But yeah, I'm not quite sure where Big Mantu is currently ranked at.
Big Mantu has played 5 games of ranked, and I checked this last game, and all of them they lost.
Yeah. Big Mantu was one of the newest players, which is making it even more impressive that they made it into the playoffs. They had really cool games in group stage. This one here, 3-6, just the bit more experienced players you could see, a bit more grinding gamers player as well, and that tenacity and that practice got rewarded here with a move into the semifinals of Division 4. So if we go over there now for this, it is a 2-0 victory here for 3-6, moving on over Big Mantu into the semifinal.
You have the Woe Is Me name. You have my face with.
I know. I wanted to change that earlier, but yeah, I didn't have the time.
Oh no, don't worry. It's funnier than it wouldn't.
Please follow Chloride, guys.
They're trying to write me out of history. They're trying to pretend I never happened. They're making me a compound character in Protoss' story. Woe Is Me and me will be turned into a single character, so that the audience will understand what's going on.
Yeah, and yeah, there will be more action here as well. I'm really interested into the Atla versus Santiafel action. We might cover one of these 2 semifinals that have already been quarterfinals tomorrow. You will for sure see some of them over at Quicksilver's channels, as you just told me. So if you want to see them there, yeah, if you don't want to miss Division 4 action, check out Quicksilver YouTube channel. And yeah, this is it for here for now, guys. Was just a quick jump in because I saw those games were live. Asked Chloride if he's around as well, and we got in here and covered some live action. It's nice to be back with some live action here with the playoffs. And yeah, 3-6 winning the prediction here, getting paid off for the couple of people who gambled on there. And with that said, guys, thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow with some streams for sure. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to cover tomorrow, as I'm going to be then off the week after into the UK visiting some friends. So yeah, no live casts next week, unfortunately.
Make sure to keep Protoss in your prayers. He's going to the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I want to visit it before it goes completely. No. But yeah, I'm going to go to Manchester and Edinburgh. It's going to be a good trip. Really looking forward to that. So yeah, gonna be back the week after, and gonna have a lot of fun there as well. Yeah, I have other. I'm visiting some gaming friends there as well, though. So yep. See you at Rock and Park, though. I have my ticket now. See you at Rock and Park. Reef.